Dear students, today we will discuss about organizational change. Change is something which is constant. We all of us change from childhood to adult and old. So, change is the reality. Organizations also have to change. Have you ever thought that people will be working from home thanks to COVID? Now it has become part of the life. Today we are talking about hybrid culture, working online as well as offline. If we don't change, what will happen? We will not survive. Let's talk about artificial intelligence. People are worried because of artificial intelligence and machine learning, people will lose jobs. Yes, but when they will lose the jobs? When they are not prepared for it. As someone has rightly said, in future there will be two types of people. People who know artificial intelligence and the related tools, and people who don't know about artificial intelligence or the related tools. In other words, are we focused on continuous improvement? We shouldn't get into what we call comfort zone. COVID has taught us an important thing, that we all must be prepared for a change. In 60s, when Madam Gandhi wanted to introduce computers in the banks, what happened? All India Bank Employees Association, a union consisting of all the bank employees in India, they went on strike. Why they went on strike? They were scared that they might lose the jobs. Like nowadays, people are talking about automation, artificial intelligence. But today, when you look around, you find computers everywhere. We all have a mini computer like our smartphone. What does this mean? Adaptability or flexibility is need of the hour. There was a time the people could manage with fixed mindset. What do you mean by fixed mindset? No, I can only do this. I cannot, do that. A fixed mindset. Doubting oneself, one's capability or one's competency. Then came growth mindset. Wow, I may not know this thing, but I am willing to learn and I am willing to improve. But today, we are living in a competitive world. Even a growth mindset might not work. So what is that? We all need to adopt a growth come fluid mindset. We are focused on what is called growing, but we must have a fluid mindset. Look at the water in a river that flows. If a rock comes in between, the water doesn't stop. It takes a diversion and continues to flow. Organizations also need to change. Today, we are talking about upskilling and reskilling. Why upskilling? When you join the organization with a particular set of skills, it was okay. But today, thanks to the technological developments, we need to upskill ourselves. Otherwise, our productivity goes down. Once, a boy has started working for a sawmill. So every day he had to go to the forest, cut the trees, and then collect his wages. He was working hard. So the boss was very happy. Every week he was giving him some incentive, some reward. After some time, another boy joined. He also started working. When this boy who joined first, he noticed that of late the other boy is getting more incentive, more compensation than him. Then he went to the boss. Sir, I have been working very sincerely with 100% commitment that how come the boy who joined later is getting more than what call me. Then boss simply smiled at him. Have you looked at your productivity? Then to his surprise, the boy found that over a period of time, his productivity in terms of number of trees he was cutting has come down, whereas the other boys was going up. Then the boy could not understand. Why did my productivity has gone down? He asked the boss. Then the boss simply smiled at him. When did you sharpen your axe? When did you sharpen your axe? Because when you start cutting, the axes, which you use to cut the trees might get blunted. So what is the moral of the story? We need to update ourselves. Observe, adopt and improve. Second, reskilling. Changes are taking place thanks to the technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So we need to learn the new tools to survive. Fine. Let's look at the organizational change. Change, it's very clear to us, it's part of the life. If you don't change, you will not survive. Resilience and agility. Let's not forget these two words. What is resilience? Ability to come out of some disadvantage or sudden change. Like in COVID, we all faced COVID successfully. What is agility? Ability to respond positively and immediately. If you don't act, what will happen? You miss the opportunity. So what is organizational change? A significant alteration in an organization's structure, process, culture or technology. Alteration, change. Earlier, say for example, you are reporting to a manager. Now you report to what is called deputy general manager. Process. You have simplified the process. Removed some unnecessary, tasks. Culture. Earlier we had a competing culture, a non-collaborative culture. Now you wish to introduce a collaborative culture. Technology. Earlier we didn't have this chat GPT. Now we have what we call chat GPT. We don't require so many people. So what is that we need to do? We need to what we call train them, retrain them, so that they remain productivity. If we ignore change, what happens? If you look at the Fortune top 100 or top 500, what do you see? The companies we were there in the list last year, they are no longer in the list. All of us remember the ambassador car, famous. Most of the ministers, bureaucrats, they were using ambassador cars with white towels, on the seats and all that. Do we see ambassadors on the road nowadays? No. We are seeing Kia, we are seeing BMW, other cars and all that. BlackBerry. There was a time when they had controlled 65% of the market share. Where is BlackBerry? Where is Nokia? These are some of the examples. When we don't perceive the change, don't prepare for it, we suffer. And same is the case with the organization. During UPA government, when Manmohan Singh ji was the Prime Minister, I was told the Vizag steel plant was going through a very tough time. The management was given a clear instruction. Either you improve or we close. So what did they do? They reviewed, their finances. They reviewed their organizational working. And on the finance front, they have noticed that they were having high cost borrowings. They were not in a position to service the high cost borrowings. Thanks to the innovative approach of the then CMD, the Life Insurance Corporation of India agreed to swap this high cost borrowings to what I call, low cost borrowings, so that, their servicing ability has what I call improved. Their performance, financial performance has improved. Similarly, on the operational front also. They took stock of the situation and they have taken the required corrective steps. PDCA approach. We plan, we do, we check, and we act. Fine, today you're good. The organization is doing well. But are we prepared for a change? Are we flexible? Are we adaptable? Look at the employees. We had permanent employment. But today we are talking about gig economy. No permanent employment, fixed employment, contract employment, freelancer. As long as you are capable, you are competitive, you are able to create value, you will continue your employment. The moment the organization feels that you are no longer required, you no longer what I call continue to contribute, then your job is in danger. Types of organizational change. Strategic change, that means focused. This is what Singareni Colliery's management followed a couple of years back when they were not doing well, about to be referred to BFR. What was the reason? Frequent strikes on some issue or what I call other. So a change is a must because productivity was going down, organization was not doing well, the very survival of the organization was in danger. Then what the management has done? They have collected all the facts and figures. They found that the frequent stoppages of work is harming them. Then how to go about? They have prepared leaflets in the vernacular languages. They have arranged burrakathas, wherein some professionals, they come and display something. The senior officers of the corporation, they went to the employees' colonies, explained them about the frequent stoppages as a result of different kinds of strikes, tool down strike, pen down strike, this strike, that strike, and all that, with a positive intention. Not to point out fault of their employees, but to tell them that how their actions are impacting the overall performance of the organization. See the result? People voluntarily came forward, gave their best, and organization did the turnaround. So, strategic change. When you are initiating a change with focused approach. So, here we see the management of Singareni Collieries were very much focused, trying to change the mindset of the people to think about the organization, to work for the organization so that they also prosper. Next, structural change. Structure, you have board of directors, MD, GM, DGMs, blah 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 and all that. You are changing in the organizational what I call hierarchy. Earlier, an employee had no access, go to the what I call the top management. Now you facilitate that. Like in Dr. Reddy's laboratories, they have a thing called dial your chairman once in 3 months. A communication approach. Earlier, it was top-down approach. Now, you are introducing a bottom-up approach. You are creating a system or a facility for the people to what I call express their opinions, and you are acting upon them. Cultural change, very, very, very important. For any change initiative to succeed in the organization, cultural changes is a must. Once a TV crew visited one of the prominent hospital in Hyderabad, having come to know that it's one of the best hospital. They have interviewed all the doctors, technicians, etc., etc. They have almost wound up. They are about to leave when the head of the TV crew saw a person in a cramped clothes lean to a wall. Then he asked him, "What's up?" Then that gentleman doesn't respond. Then he once again repeat, "What's up?" Then the man realizes, oh, he's asking about me. So he looks at himself and he looks at his background, and then he says, "I'm the one who saves 150 lives per day." The TV crew head, doesn't understand what nonsense he's talking here. Neither he is a doctor nor is a technician. A man looks in what I call rugged look with cramped clothes and I lean to the wall and he says he's the one who saving 150 lives per day. Then they came to know he's a janitor and was standing outside the intensive care unit. What do you require in intensive care unit? 100% hygienic condition. Of course, the entire hospital requires. That means the management of the hospital succeeded in grilling into the mota dimag of everyone. I'm sorry to use that word, mota dimag. That means instilled the feeling that everyone must strive to maintain a hygienic environment and give their best relating to their work. And this is what the janitor has done. That's the reason he feels that he is saving. He is also part of the exercise to save patients' lives. Cultural change is a must. That is the reason Peter Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You may have an excellent strategy, but if you don't have the culture to implement the strategy, the plan of action, the strategy will not succeed. So when we are initiating a change, have we brought the change in the culture? I remember one of the CEO of a bank, on taking over, he has his own vision. And before himself, there was someone who took the bank to its digi heights. So the current CEO has a challenge, because always there will be comparison between himself and his predecessors. So what is that he has done? He called all the divisional managers. He took them into confidence, shared with them about the vision, how they need to take it forward. Then he made the divisional managers to take into confidence their branch managers. The branch managers, assistant branch managers, and the assistant branch managers, blah, blah, blah. In other words, from top to bottom, he made everyone to understand the vision and mission of the organization and the kind of change that has to be brought in. In other words, he not only started ball rolling, but he ensured that the ball continues to roll. If the CEO changes, things will not happen. Every individual has to change. Look at the change. We talked about customer satisfaction. We talked about customer delight. But today we are talking about customer experience. Next, technological change. When I started teaching way back in the 80s, I never had a PPT, PowerPoint presentation. At the most, I used to scribble a few lines on a piece of paper and go to the class. Use chalk and board. But today, could I think of a talk, a presentation without a PPT? Or sometimes show some videos to inspire the people. So, when the technology is changing, we also need to change. The organization also need to change. They can no longer take the people for granted. About 10 years back or 5 years back, we never heard about upskilling and reskilling. But today, they have become order of the day. Upskilling. You are in the same job. But to continue to be better, you need to upskill yourself. Like I have learned how to prepare PPTs, how to bring in some stories, related stories, to make my presentations impressive, interesting, attractive. Reskilling. The requirements of the organization are changing. My job may not continue be there. So I am ready. So I must always look around. In other words, observe what's happening, adopt, and last but not the least, improve. We must be curious. Similarly, organization must look around what's happening. They can no longer take their customers for granted. Customer continues to be the king. To understand customer behavior, companies used to look at the person. But today, the decision making of a customer no longer solely remains with him. He may be influenced by his friends, his spouse, his relatives. Earlier, we never used what we call analytics. Now that we have massive data to facilitate our effective decision making, we started using analytics. Companies never bothered about social media, but today they had to take into account the social media also. Now you have social media analytics. Organizations are trying to understand the perception of the people towards their products or what we call services. One important question that arises when we talk about organizational change is, why initiate change? Yes, I am comfortable. Why should I change? We went through VUCA: volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. We successfully went through it. So shall we get into comfort zone? No. Look at what is staring at us. Bunny. B-A-N-I. Bunny. B. Bristle. A. Anxious. N. Non-linear. I. Incomprehensible. Bristle. It looks bit thick, but fragile. At any time it can break. Anxious. You don't know what's going to happen. Is my job secure? Next. Non-linear. Nothing straightforward. You don't know from which side, which direction change is coming. Are we ready? Last but not the least, incomprehensible. You're not able to understand. The change is taking place. It's such a fast pace. I would like to call this bunny as future chaos. Highly confusing, highly complex. Are we mentally prepared? It's time we move from fixed mindset to growth mindset. But let's not stop at growth mindset. Let us adopt and practice growth come fluid mindset. Continue to grow, but be flexible. Be adaptable. If you are resilient, that's not enough. In today's changing environment, we need to be agile also. Resilient, yes, you are able to come out of that abrupt situation, some change that is taking place. But agility calls for prompt action. Okay, all this is fine. But why initiate change? Why not leave me, be it an individual or an organization? The first and foremost reason is stay competitive. Look at what happened to BlackBerry, Ambassador, Nokia. So if you wish to remain competitive, you need to change. When Henry Ford first time he brought the car, he looked at car as a mode of transport from home to office. But subsequently, probably he might have failed to innovate. That customer tastes are changing. They need AC, they need music, they need what I call bags, airbags. So if you wish to stay competitive in an ever changing world, you need to change. Second, improve efficiency. In economics, we talk about limited means, unlimited ends. Resources are limited. So we need to be efficient in making use of them. Optimum utilization of the resources is need of the hour. You are effective, but you need to be efficient also. Get the results with the least wastage of resources. Enhance innovation. I'll say innovation is the key. If you fail to innovate, you have to exit. That's what we have seen with BlackBerry, Ambassador, Nokia, and you can take any other example. When the organizations fail to adopt change, this analogy can be applied to an individual also. Like I gave my own case. I was not comfortable teaching online. Okay? But today, I had to adopt myself, mitigate risk. Risk is part of the life. Unless until we are willing to change, we will not be able to handle the risk. That's fine. How to overcome resistance to change? Be it an individual or be it an organization, we won't respond positively. Initially, we'll have some reservations. Like that bank employees strike when Madam Gandhi wanted to introduce computers. People have some reservations, some prejudices, some preconceived notions. Have you taken them into confidence? Involve, inform, inspire. Have you involved the people before taking a decision to change? Have you informed them that what kind of change that is taking place, how it benefits them? And are you there to inspire them with your transparent leadership and compassionate approach? So when you see the resistance to change, what is that you need to do? Communicate effectively. Communicate, communicate, communicate. That's what we have witnessed when Satyam Computers was undergoing change of management. What did they do? Every day people were very much afraid what will happen to their jobs. Every day floor level meetings, WhatsApp messages, when some other company was taken care of. So communication is a must. Second, involve employees. In one of the Telugu movie, this fellow, Kota Srinivasa Rao says, "Nakenti, what is in it for me?" So unless until you make the people understand that how they are concerned, how they are going to be impacted, provide training and support. Asking the employees to change is good, but have you providing them required support? Lead by example. Before expecting change from your employees, are you ready to change? Good. How to introduce and execute change? The most important thing, first of all, assess the need for change. When people understand the reason for change, they will cooperate. Develop a clear vision, like that CEO of the bank, shared and ensured that vision is explained to even to the down to earth also, even up to the attender or a supporting person. Create a change management plan. We must plan. Some might say that most of the cases plan fail, but if you don't plan, you will definitely fail. Do you have a plan? How you want to go about with a change? Implement and monitor. Once you decided to change something, you implement the plan, but monitor. Know what's happening. Evaluate and sustain. You have introduced a change successfully, great, but sustain it. Once you have ensured that people change their mindset, they are in a collaborative mode, they wish to improve on a continuous basis, you sustain that through suitable recognition and reward system. We all know human beings, they crave for recognition. As an employee, why should I change? That's the first question I ask. So organizations in general and leadership in management must appraise them, the need for the change, how they are going to be benefited as part of the organizational growth. Then definitely the employees will cooperate and such change initiatives will definitely succeed. Thank you.